Oh, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Smoko podcast. My name is Alexis Armstrong, your host. Nice to meet you. The Smoko podcast is the place to celebrate and highlight women working within STEM and trade occupations. So please tune in, take a break, join us. We're on Smoko. And today we are very, very lucky that we're joined by the lovely Chieh Peng. She is a living legend in the scientific ocean drill. Yes, she is. Don't do that reaction. She is.
I'm not there yet.
Okay, a legend.
Living, okay.
Living legend, a legend in the scientific ocean drilling world. She has worked with the ODP, IODP, and IODP, so Ocean Drilling Program, Integrated Ocean Drilling Program, and the International Ocean Discovery Program. She is a chemical oceanographer herself with a bachelor's and a master's to prove it. She has worked for years aboard the Glomar and the Joides Resolution.
She's not Glomar.
Not Glomar?
Just the
Joides.
JR.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were also on the Glomar, too.
No, the Glomar was demobbed in 1984.
Oh, shit. Sorry. Yeah. Well, that's my bad. Just the JR, but still around the world.
I'm not that
old. Still around the world. She sailed around the world. She's done so many marine expeditions. I think the last time I asked you this question, I think it was like 10 years of your life had been spent sailing aboard the JR. And so we're going to talk all things oceanographic cruises and scientific ocean drilling and her time working as a laboratory officer for the IODP. So Chieh, thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it. Chieh also was my old boss too. So she had to take care of me when I first joined the program and I was a hooligan on board. So it's really nice to see you.
You did great. We'd love to have you back. Oh, wait.
Yeah. Chieh, for our first question, to start us off, could you kind of walk through how you ended up becoming a marine technician, because you've been a marine tech since the 90s, and your story, it started as an undergraduate in Taipei, and then it ends now as a laboratory officer for the IODP in College Station, Texas. So could you kind of walk through how you went from Taipei to Texas and how that happened?
Okay. Well, first, thanks, Alexis, for inviting me on this podcast, if you would. I'm not used to being interviewed, so just bear with me. So I went to a university called Chinese Cultural University in Taipei in the 80s and studied marine biology. And after I graduated, I decided to come to the United States to go to graduate school. And I picked oceanography at Texas A&M. But you kind of wonder why there's an oceanography in an inland school. Yeah. I asked that question too, but I it was kind of a luck, I guess, if you would. I was going to study marine science, and actually A&M has a branch at Galveston. They do marine science, but for some reason I picked oceanography, so I ended up in College Station. But my advisor, gave me some choices, and so for my master thesis, I did a radioactive tracer for a microorganism called the coccolithophorus, trying to study if they uptake this material, that cadmium phosphate. But anyway, that's a whole different story. But while I was here, I had a member on my thesis. She was a postdoc to my advisor, and so I was kind of her first unofficial graduate student, if you would. Follow her around for 2 years. And she ended up got a job with ODP at the time, Ocean Drilling Program. And ODP at the time, they offer a lot of student symposium. So if you're a graduate student, you can write a paper, put a poster up, or give a speech. And they do that every semester. So I was able to attend that. And then I found out about Ocean Drilling Program through that. And I was like, oh, great, sailing on the ship, And the funny thing is, the director at the time, his name is Phil Rabinowas, he had a sign-up sheet in his office for all the graduate students from geoscience, so oceanography, geology, geography, that if you want to sail on the ship as a temp tech, you can put your name down. So, I'll do that. So for 3 years, and they never called me.
Really? I didn't know that. I had no idea he didn't call you.
Nobody called me. And I was graduating, so I was looking for a job. Yeah. And so my mentor, you have that question later, so I answered that already. It's Marta.
Yeah, Marta.
Marta Torres. Anyway, Marta said, so she introduced me to Brad Jolson and another person named Dennis, who's kind of in charge of the technician at the time. So I went to them and said, I'm looking for a job. They said, oh, we don't have any opening. I said, that's okay. Here's my resume. So I went on. But that semester, I was doing some sample analysis for Marta in the lab back here. And one day, Dennis came back and said, hey, Chieh, if you have time, come see me. So, okay. So I finished what I'm doing. This, I think, is October or something. Went to see him, and he brought in other guys who just sitting in the office and chit-chatting. And about 10 minutes into it, I realized this is a job interview.
It's so typical IODP.
I know. Like, they were just telling me about the ship. This is what happened on the ship. This is what you do, blah, 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 blah. So I was like, why are they telling me? Oh, well, then,
you're hired. Yeah.
The last thing that says, when can you sell?
You're like, what? Excuse me. They're like,
I need to graduate first. But anyway, that's how I got hired.
I love it. It's just, it hasn't changed, right? Like, it's still kind of that attitude of like,
well, now it's still a bit more official.
True.
But, you know, when you hire, we have to ask you all this sets of questions. But still, you realize we tell you more about us than you tell us more about you, right?
Yeah. You're kind of like, as it's happening, you're like, oh, am I leaving tomorrow? Like, do I need to get my visa? Like, where's my clothes? Like, what is happening to me?
We're going to book your ticket right now. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that was your interview. That's so typical and so funny. And
yeah. So, and it's really funny that everybody got hired later. I think one of the most common complaint, if it was, oh, they didn't give me any notice. I only had 2 weeks notice. So like, that's for everybody.
Welcome.
2 weeks, you're lucky.
Yeah, exactly. Back in the day, I feel like it was like literally off the dock, like just yelling at people in San Diego to be like, do you want to come on this ship for 2 months at a time? Right? Like, it was complete pirates.
So yeah, that's how I got it into the job. And so, you probably experienced yourself after about 3 years or so, you start getting this, we call it burnout. You just burn out because you go on this ship 2 months, you go home for 2 months, go to ship for 2 months. And for you guys, you were at least sea flags. You get to go home.
Yeah.
And when I was hired, there was no sea flag. So everybody come to the office. And so you really get burnt out. So
completely.
About 3 years, I was, I hated going to the ship. I didn't want to go. I want to leave so bad. I looked for a job. And the rude awakening is I actually got a job offer. And I said, okay, we're going to pay you this much and you get 2-week pay vacation. And that's when I say, what do you mean? That's it? A whole year? 2-week pay? That's it? But I need to go to Taiwan. I need to go do this. I need to go do this.
I have so many bike trips to go on. I'm used to 6 months.
What do you mean only 2 weeks?
Yeah, that's how they get you. It is true. It's one of the perks of being a tech.
Even for us who are not sea flies, we get we get compensation time, we get vacation time, and we get ticket to go to the port, and you get ticket to come back from the ending port. So if you want to travel, the airline ticket is paid, right?
Yeah.
So you just have to pay in between, and so I was just like, what? So I went home, had a really, I don't know how to describe it, like
moment.
Literally like a rude awakening. It's like, oh my, So when I went back to the ship, I realized, and the thing is, during that 1 year I was looking for jobs, I always come back to our job advertising, for our marine tech. And then you look at it and say, that's what I want to do. Oh, wait, I already have that job.
You're like, that's actually me already. It's still my dream job. I keep on coming back to it, that's who I am.
Yeah. So then I had a mental adjustment big time. And I realized, this is the job I want.
Yeah.
This is what I really like to do. I really enjoy what I'm doing. So once I had that mental change, it wasn't too bad anymore. Ever since, you have moments as that, what am I doing here? But
totally.
But I think that happened to everybody, any job, everywhere. So
I agree. I think that's just a human experience thing that like occasionally you're like, what is happening to me? But I love that you love your job, and I love that it's also like a love of the lifestyle and being like, yep, this is what I want to do. And I also love how your story is so serendipitous in a way, but it's also so like beautiful of meeting someone like Marta who had such a big impact, and like that's such a serendipitous thing. But then she introduces you to one thing and to one person. I also love that Phil didn't call you for 3 years. That's
Right.
hilarious in
So
hindsight.
be careful what you dream, wish
That's
for.
that's crazy that didn't happen for 3 years and then you still ended up on
Yeah.
the ship. Like
Yeah.
I just love the whole story of it. And I think we've already kind of talked a little bit about IODP, but could you maybe, if people don't know the program or don't know ODP or an IODP, could you describe what the program is, its mission and purpose, and then what is your role as a laboratory officer within the IODP?
So the program started as a deep sea drilling program, Scripps, San Diego.
Yeah.
Scripps. So actually, I think the whole story, I think on our website, there's a whole history page of it. You can read about it. So bunch of scientists are exploring the idea of plate tectonic. And they have hypotheses, but they can't prove it at the time. And this is 1950s. That's when the seismic kind of developed from
it. Yes,
World War II.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So they start notice they can kind of map the bottom of the ocean. Before that, there's no way. They don't know what's going on down there, right? So that's kind of go into it. And this group of scientists eventually got enough funding to contract a ship called the Golden Challenger. And they fixed a derrick on it. And they were able to kind of preliminarily guessing, if you would, where they think the plate tectonic is happening. So if you're not familiar with plate tectonic, basically the entire surface of Earth, if you would, including the bottom of the ocean, is all on a certain kind of plate. And this plate kind of move around because if you think about the mantle of the Earth is liquid.
Yeah.
So all these things kind of floating on this heavy duty liquid. They move. Well, I just think about California, right?
Yes.
Most of people know the
San Andreas.
San Andreas is a plate. So LA and San Francisco are on two different plates, and they're moving this way. And on the other side of the Pacific, there's a series island, if you would call it, from Japan, Taiwan, Philippines, Indonesia. It's called Ring of Fire. Those are the two plates going like this.
Yes. Yeah.
So they push everybody up.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you have all this volcano, and that's the plate. So they're different plates. So that's how they started. They went out for the Moho project.
That was the first one. Yeah.
They're trying to drill holes or drill cores to see where all this separation area is. And they proved it over the years. So officially, the first, I think Lake 1 started in 1968, if I
I think that's right. Chieh,
yeah.
I think, yeah.
And that program went on to 1984. And then the program moved to Texas A&M in 1985 and changed name to Ocean Drilling Program. I joined in 1991, so I never seen the Challenger.
Yeah, apologies.
No problem. No, so JR there were two ships used to call Seiko BP 471 and 472. That's the length
Catchy
of the
name.
ship.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's easy to remember. 471 is 471 feet long. And I'm pretty sure 472 is also 471 feet long, but they built two identical, twin ships in the 70s for oil exploration. But then kind of the oil business went kaput in the 80s.
Yeah.
That's when ODP started. So they contract one of the ship, and the ship was built in Canada, actually, in Halifax.
Yeah.
Right. They went to Mobile. No. Alabama somewhere to refit. So the JR initially during ODP, the lab is kind of add-on. If you think about a big container, they turn it upside down or on the vertical and bolt it onto the ship. That's the lab.
Shoebox added on top of the JR.
Yeah. So the whole project from DSDP to ODP, then I think 2003 would change into International Ocean Drilling. Integrated Ocean Drilling Program. Yeah. That's when Japan, US, and Europe, kind of three parts, they kind of equally contribute. That went on for about 10 years. And then now we changed to International Ocean Discovery Program because apparently drilling is not a
Yeah, it had a bad word all of a sudden,
yeah,
so we
and
changed it to
yeah, I think
Discovery. Yeah.
that's when that rig exploded,
Deep
right? Some
Sea Horizon, I think.
Horizon, yeah,
Wasn't it during that time? Yeah.
yeah. So they changed the name to Ocean Discovery Program, but overall we still it's a drilling ship, so we drill sediments and hard rock, we retrieve cores back to the ship, and we usually have about 20-30 scientists every expedition, and they have different expertise from sedimentologists, petrologists, paleontologists, geochemists. Now we include almost every
Organic.
crew's a microbiologist now.
Yeah.
So they basically everybody study a parts of the course, and they put their story together, and are trying to find out if you just use one sentence like history of Earth, how
That's
the
a good way to
sediment
do
got
it.
here,
Yeah.
right? So we still study plate tectonic. We still how fast they move. Now we also go to Arctic and Antarctica to study how fast the ice sheet move and how fast they retreat because of global. Maybe I shouldn't say that, global warming.
No, it's true. It's true.
Climate
It is
change, right?
climate change. Yes. Yeah.
So, and those are very interesting. It's like a tree ring, if you would. Every time, every season, the ice sheet come out, retreat, come out, retreat,
Yeah.
come out, retreat.
It's beautiful to see.
When they retreat, when
Yeah.
they melt, they have drop stones because when they froze, they take something from the land, it become ice, and they melt. When they melt, everything that was trapped will settle down to the
Yeah.
bottom of the ocean. So when we get this core, vertical core, you think about like a recording, just layers and layers and layers of recording what happened in atmosphere. So in the open ocean, you still have particles in the air, right? So I mean, like you can tell your audience, like every week you have to clean your house. Why? Because you got sediments accumulate particle on your desk, on your TV, and think about that's happening everywhere, right? Also in the open ocean, you got particles. They're much slower, obviously, but they still settle. They go into the
Detritus,
water,
and it still settles. Yes,
they
exactly.
still settle. So we retrieve all this core. They're just like tree rings. You can study layers by layers, and a lot of chemical and physical characters, like magnetic fields or a certain type of isotope ratio. All this information are trapped in those particles when they settle down.
Yeah.
So when we got those core, the scientists, with the help with the instrument, we can determine, oh, here's the magnetic field, it's this way, that way, or certain elements is happening more in this area or less, or the microfossil, we have different species, they die out. Why they die out? Or they have a
There's
bloom.
just so much information
So
that
much
we can
information.
tell. We can tell the entire environment and that signature. We can put it to time, to geologic time. We can put it to changing like ice sheets, like Chieh said. It's basically like a snapshot of time of ocean
so much
sediment.
Information.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just spent, my last cruise was in the agency.
Oh, cool.
Greece.
Yeah.
And
gorgeous.
we were studying volcanic eruptions, right? And those are more recent eruptions. Cool. We actually spent a whole week in the Santorini caldera.
Whoa, that's
How about
fun.
that?
That's super cool. That's sick.
And unfortunately, we have recovered hundreds and hundreds of meters of pumice.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
crazy. And
that's
pumice
awesome.
is really hard to recover because they fall in. They're so light, right?
Yeah.
You think about you put a metal pipe down, try to retrieve them. As soon as you go in, everybody fall in, and the pipe gets stuck.
Yeah, I could see drilling into that being like a complete
it's not an easy
mess.
thing to do.
No, I could see. I don't think I've ever seen pumice drilled into. I don't think we have really got much pumice on our hard rock.
No,
I can't think of one.
Yeah. And then you remember, if we get volcanic ash, they're like all the scientists fight for it, right?
Yeah.
We have hundreds and hundreds meters of them.
Wow, that's gorgeous. That's so beautiful to see.
I've never seen anything like that. Yeah.
That's really
amazing.
cool, Chieh.
It's amazing. Yeah.
And Chieh just also mentioned so many things too that we see within the core, like magnetic fields and chemistry and paleontology. Like, she was basically kind of walking through every single aspect of the lab. Chieh's job was to manage the entire technical staff. So every single one of those labs kind of fell onto Chieh's responsibility. Obviously, like, there's a lab tech and a marine tech assigned to each lab, but we all report to Chieh, and Chieh's job was to make sure that our machines were working correctly, that data was stored correctly, that we were getting adequate measurements, we were getting good data, we were maintaining quality, and then also that we weren't killing each other and that we were all
No
functioning
fighting.
okay. No fighting. Right.
Yeah.
So Chieh just mentioned every single aspect of the core because that was all fall into her responsibility as LO.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, it's true. It's every single lab was basically,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
your
I mean,
job.
we're human beings. So I don't know if we kind of mentioned. So on the ship, we have kind of three groups of people, if you would. One of the group is technical support.
Mm-hmm.
We're all hired by IODP, which we all pay by Texas A&M. So our job, like Alexis says, is to make sure all the instruments. So everybody has an assigned duty, if you would. You could be assigned to a paleomag lab, or like Alexis, before your lab, you were on the description, but before
Yeah.
that, you were in X-ray.
Yeah.
And we have things section. We basically grind, maybe is the right word, a rock to the point that is so thin that you can see on the mounted on the slide. You can
Yeah.
see through different
It's like a glass
reflections.
plane almost,
Yeah,
basically,
because
similar to that.
minerals, if you
Yeah.
think about, all the rocks are made from minerals, and they reflect to different lights in different ways.
Yeah.
We have chemistry technicians, and we also have fully 24-hour computer support. We have two electronic technicians. They work on
Everything.
electronic,
Yeah, anything that breaks.
anything,
Yeah.
or bookshelf.
Yeah, exactly. Our jack of all trades that are
Yes.
responsible for fixing everything that we break.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now we have two full-time programmers on
Yeah.
board, because we have a lot of softwares that we created ourselves, application, if you would, to run on this instrument. Because core processing is such a unique thing, you don't get it too many places. We definitely is in a large scale, because on the cruise, I think you were on that cruise. We almost got 7,000 meters of cores, right?
That was gross. Yeah, I hated that cruise. That cruise was disgusting.
So
yes.
the core is coming out every 20 to 30 minutes, core on deck, core on deck, core on deck.
Yeah.
And every core, you got to process, curation. We got to cut them, run them through different instrument as a whole run. Then we split them and then get them out. And worse for the technician, now you have to pack it up, box it, move it downstairs.
It's a logistical nightmare.
Nonstop.
Yeah.
Nonstop. Yeah. It's very physically demanding, that's for sure. And also, even just without that, you stuck on the ship for 2 months, 60 days, like you were saying earlier, trying not to kill each other. But we're human beings. We're gonna have conflicts and disagreements.
100%.
Bad mood day.
It's just part of it. Like some days you're just like, whoop, don't talk to Alexis today, or like it's just. And maybe this goes into our next question, Chieh, is like, what was your favorite aspect, or what's your favorite aspect of working as marine tech? And then like, what's something that's challenging? Maybe it's making sure that we don't kill each other on board is what's challenging. I don't know.
It is true. Managing instrument is a lot more easier than managing people.
Yes, 100%.
Because instrument is pretty much 100% predictable. Sure, you're gonna have sometimes a breakdown, you don't know why, but eventually we'll all find out why, because of the machine, right? So,
exactly. And we've also designed most of them from scratch, like you were saying. Like there are babies that we've created the program, we can eventually fix it.
Yeah. And but people, just everybody's different, everybody has different background, different personality. We like to, when you're asking what's the favorite part of my job, is it's really diversity. It's not just the job itself, it's people. It's kind of funny, when I first became assistant lab officer, I hated dealing with conflict, because if I tell you to do something and you have a bad day, so I don't want to do it, and it just
drove you crazy.
Eats me alive. It's like, how do I deal with this? How am I gonna? I don't want to talk to her today. She's not my favorite person anymore. She doesn't do. So it's for, and you just gotta remember, we didn't go to school to learn managing people. We didn't. To learn science.
And like rocks too. Like we're there because we just all had rock collections, and we're like, oh, we just thought these were cool, man. That's it.
Yeah. So then I took a lot of leadership classes, and then I realized, I take it as a challenge. How do I get you to do what I want you to do? And then actually it's accomplishment if I am able to do it. If I'm not, I'll try to find a way. And then that become, again, it's an interesting thing to do. And I try to tell all the new assistant lab officer, I see all of them went through the same thing, just like can't handle it because all these people are so hard to some people are really challenging. But then I try to tell them, I said, no, don't let that bother you. Don't take it personally. Your job is to make sure they do their job. So how do you make sure they do their job? How do you make them see this is what you need to do?
Yeah.
That's important. And to see you guys grow into that job and become mature out of it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, hey.
Aw, yeah,
I have something to do with it.
Oh, 100%, Chieh. Like, I think about when I first started, I'm like, that's why I said at the beginning, I was like, Chieh had to deal with me as a hooligan. I think I was like a 26-year-old punk kid that thought I knew everything. Right?
You're not the only one.
I know. I could see a lot of joy there of like feeling and accomplishment, I think is what I'm trying to say, is of seeing someone grow and become better at their job and better as a human being and like more themselves through your management, and also learning how to manage people effectively and better, and letting things not bug you as much with like internal conflict, because it's a hard job that you live and work with the people that work for you. Like I couldn't imagine having all of your employees that also have to see you at 5 a.m. when you go to the gym and like when you just want to watch your TV and they'll
Just
be like
leave
at
me
your
alone.
door. Exactly.
Lock the door.
To be like, so-and-so was mean to me. And you're like, I honestly can't deal with you right now. Like, please, this is my 1 hour by myself, right? Like I couldn't imagine how it would be like to be a manager in that position. And just, it's difficult, but when you get it right, I could see it being really, really fulfilling. Yeah. For sure.
I mean, it's the same thing as me growing, right?
Yeah.
Is that I realize you just don't take it personally. They're not really hating you.
No, not at all.
They're probably hating this whole situation. I'm pretty sure. So how do we help you guys to get out of it? And then, I don't know if you remember, I told everybody who first, sell is that you have to find a way to release that stress. It is a stressful job.
Completely.
Whatever you need to do, you need to lock yourself in a room for an hour. That's fine.
Yeah.
Or go to the gym or go to helideck and scream your head off.
Yeah. Figure it out.
Just don't fight.
Yeah.
Don't take it out on other people.
The number one rule is no fighting. But like, I think that's true too, because you don't know how stressful of a job it is. And like, I remember you telling me that, but I also remember me being like, yeah, whatever. It's not that stressful of a job. And then like a couple of months in and you're like pulling out your hair. Exactly. You're like, like I haven't seen land forever. And it's just, it takes a little bit to kind of get used to, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. So, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And especially, like I said, watching you guys, kind of mature into the job and say, hey, all right.
Or like doing a little technique to be like, oh, that's my technique of open that box. I know where she learned that. Yeah, to be like, that's how I hold the stapler. Like it's the same.
I teach him well.
Yeah, exactly. Completely. And maybe, Chieh, because you've been with the program for so long and like have done this forever, has there been any big difference from the program at the very beginning to the program that exists now? Is there something like, does the program looks completely different from when it started to now, or is it basically the same?
Well, program-wise, politically, we went through the first phase of integrated ocean
drilling program. Yeah.
That was political nightmares because they were trying to have 3 parts contribute same amount of money and spend same amount of money. It just didn't work. Yeah. But that's kind of beyond us. I mean, that's on the
like national stage
administration part of it.
Yeah.
On the ship, I kind of hate to say this, but I think it's the same thing for the world is this when this this harassment, well, not harassment, but DEI, the diversity, equality comes in. In the old days, definitely people are a lot rougher.
Yeah.
And,
I could imagine.
You have to really stand up for yourself. But yet it can be a lot of fun because there
Mm-hmm.
are things we got away with.
Yeah. I mean, some of the stories of back in the day, you're like,
Yeah.
I could not imagine that now. Like it was like
Yeah.
cowboy science a little bit, right? But
Uh,
it's,
well, when I first sailed on the ship, kind of answer one of your question about women.
yeah,
There is fewer women, but there are always, three or four of
yeah,
us minimum. Scientists too. There are at least three or four of them, maybe sometimes more. And the captain I sailed with didn't really like women on the ship,
mm,
and I've experienced a few others, especially drill four guys.
yeah.
They're from pretty conservative, area, and they were like, why are you out here? Oh, because you don't have a husband to take care of. Like,
Yeah, like,
yeah, whatever.
yeah, God, I'm never gonna have one of those, man.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, I'll tell you that we had this one guy. I don't understand why you guys just not married and don't have children to take care of. And at the time, the Texas governor was Ann Richard.
Mm,
She was great.
yeah,
And
she was amazing.
all four big city, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, El Paso, city mayors are female. And Margaret Thatcher was the
Yeah,
prime
the Iron
minister.
Lady. Yeah.
So I was like, do you own a TV set? Do you watch TV?
Where do you think you are right now? What year do you think that it is? Yeah, like, do you think it's the 1950s? What's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's that changed a lot. But we were pretty rough. Sometimes I have to be careful because those days, I would just say something back to them. And the thing is, in my opinion, 99.9% of people they're not there to do anything to you or against you or
Mm-hmm.
sabotage you. They just like, I don't understand why you're here. Why I
Yeah.
don't understand why you, as a female, why don't you get a secretary job or something,
Yeah. They're
But
still extremely biased, but they're not gonna like
they
be,
really,
they're just
because their background,
confused.
they really just
Yeah.
don't know. They
Yeah.
don't know. They don't understand it, right? So I think it's actually good for them to see us being on the ship, and we just do our job, right? I mean, and I remember we had a female tech, go on the catwalk wearing white leggings, and we'll take one look at her. We're like, "Are you here to work, or are you here to look pretty?" And she immediately changed her outfit, right? She realized, that
Yeah.
first core, your leggings gonna be ruined.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just the fact.
Yeah,
Nothing
exactly. Like it's
against,
just not,
nothing against you wearing pretty white legging, but
it's
just the
just not the
fact is
environment. Yeah. The
that first
environment was
core,
rough.
mud is gonna get on it. It's gonna be ruined.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's but nowadays, I mean, the job aspect of it doesn't really change. Sure, the instrument's fancier, more accurate, more precise. Sometimes you need less time because of the auto sampler for some of the instruments. So, but overall, it's the same in a way.
It's just the
But I think
culture, maybe.
the culture is quite different.
The culture has changed. Yeah. And I think
Yeah,
for the most part, I think that's a good change. But some of the stories of like the wild parties and some of the like the craziness that you guys used to get up to, I think
yeah,
is definitely with like rosy tinted glasses. I love hearing those stories. And I know I've asked you in another question, which we'll get to in a little bit, of some of those stories because they're my favorite. But I could see, yeah, the culture being the big change. And I think it's good that the culture has changed for the most part. We're still gonna get rough and tumble dudes and guys in ocean drilling. It is just part of it. But I think you're right that us being there and just being ourselves and them having to deal with seeing us do our job
yeah,
and working will change, hopefully, some
yeah,
minds, right? And like we'll have a bigger impact that we know. And for the next question, Chieh, like there's always been the thing with ODP and IODP really is that there's always been a fair bit of women who have worked within the program. Like even back in the day, like you said, there was
mm-hmm.
like 4 or 5 women for like a staff of 20 or 30 back in the 80s, 90s. That's fantastic. Could you maybe speak to some of your early day mentors? I know you already mentioned Marta as being
Mm-hmm.
one of them. And could you speak to how they impacted your career when you were just starting?
Yeah. I mean, just watching the female scientists coming on board, and they do like whatever job is
Yeah.
assigned to them. I have the privilege working with one of the. She's my, I won't say heroine, but I do admire her, Miriam Castro. You probably saw with her.
Yeah. Yeah. She's
She's kind of like the
amazing.
godmother of geochemistry in the United States, and she's from Israel,
Uh huh.
and her family were during the World War II, a lot of them were killed.
Yeah.
And she was part of the group that marched from, I think, Poland or East Germany to Israel.
Wow. I didn't know that. I didn't know Miriam was
Yeah, she
part of
was
that.
pretty young.
Oh my
and
goodness.
for her to being a I guess Jewish woman during that era, she had to fight. I'm pretty sure every
Yeah.
step of the way to get to
100%.
a professorship
Yeah.
in UC San Diego, and be a leading role. At first, she come across really demanding, you know, and she will sit there and talk your ears off to get what she want. And I think that's her strategy over
Yeah.
the years that she developed.
Yeah.
I've seen her talking to a coach for 2 hours to get a sample.
She's
that
going to
she
get
wanted.
exactly what she wants. Oh,
Yeah,
100%.
she would talk to you until say, okay, take whatever you want.
Like, I have had enough. Please, Miriam, leave me alone. I have some peace.
But the first time I sat with her, I asked a couple of questions like, why do you want to take sample this way? Why do you want to analyze sample that way? It turned into like an hour class every day for the entire 2 months.
That's
she would
amazing.
sit down, explain to me, why we do it this way, why we do this analysis, what this element means, what this data means. And I learned so much. That's why another thing I told all you guys is talk to your scientists. They're the expert. They know what they're doing.
Oh,
talk
100%.
To them,
yes.
Talk to them. Sure, we can run the machine, but do you know why you're running that way? Why are you setting the parameter this way? What data are you looking at?
Yeah.
Right? So those you need to talk to scientists. And I learned so much from her. And after a while, you kind of take her side. That she has that charm, right?
Yeah.
Remember Etienne?
Yes, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I forgot about Etienne.
I told Etienne, I said, just be careful going in there, but she would charm you, and she did. She would every time Etienne walked, oh, Etienne, can you fix this? Can you do this? 2 hours later,
everything she wants. I love
Etienne
it.
Said, you're right.
Well, Etienne also has the sweetest heart. Like, he is a big teddy bear. Like, he seems super grumpy and gruff, but he is like the nicest man. If he likes you, he's gonna fix everything in your entire life, right?
And then she explain to them, to you. So why do I want it this way? And you're like, oh yeah, okay. And then immediately you take her side, and you will do anything. I will do anything for her.
Yeah, I know. I love those type of people though, and I love those type of people when you meet them early on that just teach you so much, and also I think like have that attitude, because it's such a boss attitude that you don't really see that often, of like someone that brings you on their side, gets what they want, but does it in a really kind, professional, amazing way, and is also just so good at what they do. She's amazing in geochemistry. Like there's a reason why. She's fantastic.
Old-fashioned true chemists. They're the one that explain to you why this element behave this way, and when you run into another element, why does it behave that way? Pure chemistry.
Amazing.
Pure chemistry.
Yeah.
They know all of it, and they will teach you if you ask, if you're willing to learn.
Yeah. The brains behind that. Like, I love meeting people like that, and I think they're just so powerful to have a mentor like that teaches you everything, and you can just sponge it up, because you're right. Like, the scientists that come on board, we're in a really lucky position as a marine tech that we get to meet some of the best scientists in the entire world at the top of the game. It's true. They're not all good. Like, there's a couple sometimes that you're like, I don't think that's correct. Like, I know that's not correct. I know what that rock is, and that's not that. But that's okay. That happens. For the most part, like, you do get these amazing people.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're very lucky.
Yeah. And that's very cool that you got to meet Miriam and Marta, and that I always remember, I think you and Lisa Taux, I think you guys organized it, that party that we met, all of the old techs, the tech reunion. Yeah. Some of the women that I met during that tech reunion.
Isn't that wild?
Oh my goodness.
They were wild.
They were wild. They were like the deep sea drilling ladies. Like, and speaking to like, I'm always going to remember that, like, speaking to this one woman who is probably in her 80s.
Trudy,
yes.
Trudy,
yeah. And she was telling me about how the Russian National Guard was following them one expedition, and every single day she would walk out and she would flash them her tits, and then she would have her coffee. And I was just like, someone's grandmother was telling me this, and I was like, this is
You think about this are the people in the 60s.
Yes.
They're in their 20 years old in the 60s. They're the rebels, if you would. And she
Yeah.
was telling me she has this other lady, I can't think of her name right now. The ship went to Australia. They were down the Challenger. They
Mm.
got off and just spent 2 months exploring.
That's
And
crazy.
this is way before internet
Yeah.
or travel agent. I said, how do you know where you're going? So, you just ask the local. How do you know where you're staying? Oh, you just ask the local. Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're the next, like they're the
It
different
just,
generation,
yeah,
right? And like
yeah.
I've always found those women, and like one of the things about IDP that I love the most is you find those women and those mentors really early on, these like
Yep.
wild women. I still think that they exist. I still think you're a wild woman, Chieh. Like you've biked all over the world. Like how many times?
No, not yet. Around the
It's true.
world.
But still,
Yeah,
like parts of it, right? Like I think
yeah.
that's been something that's really cool about the
But
program.
I think that's also that part of it attract you to this job
Mm.
is to there. What is a venture? A venture is you go somewhere, something, or do something that's you don't know, it's
Yeah.
unknown, right? So for some people, they would never step out to do that. If I don't know, I would not eat this. Or if I don't know, I will
Yeah.
not go there.
Yeah.
Those women, they're pioneer. I was telling the truth. I enjoy it so much.
Yeah, me
That's
too.
like, you guys are crazy.
I like it's just she was someone's grandma and she was just like, I was
Yes.
just
And they
flashing my
had so much,
tits.
yeah, they had so much fun talking about it. You can
she
still tell.
she was just like the hit of the party. And she was like,
Yeah.
yeah. And then sometimes I would put Playboy magazines in containers and float them off and I would get vodka in return. And I was like, oh my goodness, Judy. Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
maybe this is the next one, Chieh, is like, because you yourself, you've have some crazy stories from being on the JR. Like, you've been to Antarctica as like one of the only scientists from the JR that got to go down to Antarctica and live in McMurdo. We were almost boarded by pirates, which was absolutely crazy before my time. And then we also, the boat survived like the perfect storm, like the perfect storm from the movies in the North
Barely. Yeah.
Atlantic, like barely survived. It almost went down. Could you talk to like some of the crazier moments of, are there a couple that like live in your head that you're like, whoa, that was
Yeah.
insane?
Well, like the one you said, actually, the Lake 152, we're up in that area already. That was 2 years prior
Mm.
to the perfect storm, and we ran into a storm. But luckily, we left before it happened. So in the Northern Atlantic, this actually happened every year. So why it's called perfect storm? You get the not typhoon, what is it, hurricane coming
Hurricane,
up
yeah.
from the equator on the east coast of the U.S. and go up, but because the rotation of the Earth and the land mass, a lot of storms form right there off coast Greenland, and sometimes they combine. And that's what's called a perfect storm. And that's what
Yeah.
happened to us.
Yeah.
We were drilling too close to land. Well, say too close. We're
Relatively, yeah.
relative
Yeah.
about 20 miles or less. And it was like 5 meters or 500
Oh, it's
meters
so
of water. It's
shallow.
really shallow.
Yeah.
If we're in the deep ocean, might not be a big deal, right?
Yeah. But
So
you were
we
so
knew
shallow
we
with
knew
that.
there was a storm coming up, but we didn't know there was one form right
Oh.
on top of us. So the two combined, by the time we realized we can't move,
Yeah.
we had 200 meters of drill pipe still dangling below us.
Oh my
Because
God.
we're
Yeah.
wowing, right?
Oh, and that takes forever to bring back up,
And
and you can't move with it. You
well,
can't.
we dropped
Yeah.
it. We didn't.
Did you
And
drop
there was
it?
no way. Oh, they dropped it.
Yeah.
Because we didn't want to ground. If we ground,
It's
that's
true.
it. The
Yeah.
end of the ship, right?
Yeah.
So we had 12 thruster. What they did is they put the thruster down, they dropped those pipe, and they basically, we know where the shoreline is. So they basically turned the ship parallel to the shoreline and let the storm blow at us. So we were
Oh,
going backwards,
yeah.
but they used the thruster to keep position.
Yeah.
So we basically turned ourselves into an iceberg. That's what they did. And I
And
think
just
that
try to float it.
saved us. Yeah.
That's smart. That's very,
Well,
very
we
good for the
couldn't,
captain.
yeah.
You can't do anything in that storm. You
Yeah.
can't outrun it. You can't try
Yeah.
to like go against it. You just have to kind of
And
take it.
we had 2 radar at the time. And so what happened is the wave was so big it was pounding the window on the bridge. And the water temperature is right around freezing. So it's the seawater is not really water, it's slush.
Yeah.
You get a little just like slushy,
Yeah.
So it pounded the window for 40 some hours and finally broke it. And it flooded
So
my deck
scary. Yeah. Yeah.
twice.
Oh God.
Happened twice. And so we were kind of just basically maintaining, and the who was it, Danish, I think it was Danish Coast Guard. They came out to look for fishing boat. They found us.
Oh my goodness.
The escort. By then
Yeah.
we used to have little antenna and stuff. They were all gone.
Yeah,
So we had
everything was gone.
no communication, right? So we only have the ham radio, I think, at the time. But they found us. They escorted us down to, I don't know how far they escorted down, but we went to Halifax.
Wow.
Like limping.
Wow.
I've never experienced a ship just literally limping. And imagine a ship, it's just like there's no regular
no
movement. There's no rhythm anymore because it was damaged, and it was just, even the lookout is kind of calm. The ship was doing this number.
Oh my goodness. I couldn't imagine, like, even the video footage that I've seen of it, of like you guys in your survival suits, or like people going against the storm outside to try to board up the bridge, to patch up the bridge. It just looks terrifying. I couldn't imagine being there with it, right? Like everyone in survival suits, everyone looks relatively normal. Like everyone looked like not too freaked out.
Well, that's the problem. Yeah. Not a problem. I was so naive. I didn't know. I mean, I don't know how to operate a ship, right? Yeah. So and then that the captain not going to do anything stupid because he want to live too.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're literally that saying, we're on the same boat.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And we're all going down if we go down. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So, so they took care of it, and I just remember. I think my shock was, like I was telling you earlier, the old ship. The lab stack was like a kind of, if you think of a container, turn it
on top of
vertically.
It. Yeah.
So on one side, there's a stair go up to the main deck, I think. No, main deck go up to the forecastle deck. Mm. And there was where it bolted. And I remember after the storm, we were on our way back to Halifax. I was going through there, and it just looked different to me. There's that layer, probably I would say maybe 3 meters long. So is the cushion and the bolts are gone.
That's insane.
So you see light coming through on the side of the wall, and I was sitting there and go like, what is that different? Like, why is there light coming through? Then I realized that, holy moly.
Holy shit, we almost lost that.
Yeah, there's like 6 bolts are gone.
Oh my good. Like, that's crazy to see.
That's when I realized, and the entire time we were in the lab stack.
Yeah.
Sure, it's rough. We couldn't do anything. This is beyond seasick, right? That V8 commercial, everybody's walking sideways?
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. You walk this way, because the ship just
I can't imagine that. Yeah, because like even then, sometimes rough seas, like everyone walks sideways or like holds on to the wall.
You know how you go upstairs and wait.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Then
Yeah. But like, it's true too. You probably had no communication, so you probably didn't know it was the perfect storm or how bad it was until you came in, and then being like, "Oh, you guys are so lucky, you guys survived." And then you're like, "Holy shit! I didn't even realize we were limping and fighting for it."
I remember we came into Halifax. There was a canal, I guess. So we were sailing in the canal, and it's a canal, so you got to land on both sides. And the ship's still doing this.
Oh my god!
And I was like, "Will you stop moving already? Can
you please get us to?
I need to get off now.
Yeah, please help us."
Yeah.
Oh my god! And maybe because we're almost at top of hour, Chieh. So I just one or like a couple last ones, but one of the last ones is because you've been on this forever and so many cool things have come out of this program. Is there something, instead of like crazy memory, but like for a scientific or for findings, is there something that sticks in your head that you're like, that was so cool that I got to be part of seeing all of those ash layers from Greece that you were just talking about, or like, or going down to Antarctica or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things was the KT boundary that we recovered. Of course, I think it was Carolina. I can't remember what cruise it was. I think I wrote it down somewhere. There you go. Yeah, I think it was 171B. I can't remember what year it was. But so they, the KT boundary, they basically prove the meteor impact to the Yucatan and sent out all these ashes, and then the Earth, I think, was dark for
like years.
500 years or some crazy number.
Yeah, iridium
and
spike.
That's when most of dinosaurs extinct and stuff. And I remember one of the paleontologists was showing me right before this impact, there was I think it's a foreign, no, it's not a foreign. Oh, maybe it's a coccolith that has established so many horns and
Yes. Yeah. All of their like
decorative
displays.
thing, the
Yes.
excretion, calcium carbonate. And then the impact hit after that for about, couple of centimeter, which is 500 years on the earth. There's nothing, right? Everything dead. And after that, you start seeing single simple organism start over again.
Yeah, a whole nother, because it was a huge extinction event. Like it's a ginormous extinction event in Earth history, and then like a restart of the planet, basically.
Yeah,
with that. That's really cool to see.
That was really cool.
Yeah,
that was really, really cool.
I would love to see that. The one that always sticks out for me, just even though we didn't get that much material, do you remember when we drilled into the volcano off the coast of New Zealand? Do you remember that one?
Oh yeah.
That one always sticks for me because I think that's so cool that we were like crazy enough to be like, let's drill into an active volcano.
Carolina came out.
Yeah. And all of the machines came back that like just molten, and just like we lost so much data because everything kept on melting. That one always sticks in my head.
And acidic too. Remember the water is so acidic.
It was like battery acid. It was like pH of 1, and I think our temperature was at like 500 or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
Our core pipe, remember? It like ate through the core pipe. Yeah. That one always kind of sticks out with it.
Yeah, another one for me was 158 or 159. It was a tag mount. So we drill into the we were talking about plate tectonics, the spreading zone.
Yeah.
So there's like black smoker.
Oh, that's really cool to go into.
And that was kind of unknown at the time.
Yeah.
But they have done, the scientists at the beginning of the cruise, the scientists have gone down with submersible, and they're showing us all this very dedicated black smoker. There's shrimps and type of worm.
Yeah, all the black super worms. Yeah.
And then the JR went and we poked, I think, 17 holes, whole P.
Oh my God.
Because we get stuck.
Yeah.
I had to blow the pipe 4 times.
Wow.
Because we keep getting stuck. And then I remember one incident, we had a VIT down there to try to find,
which is a camera
place. Yeah, it's the camera trying to find a place to spot to drill, because it's all deposit, right? So it's hard stuff. And suddenly the camera went dark, so we thought, they killed whatever it is, killed the camera, so the camera died. And about, I don't know, a minute or two later, camera came back on. Like, okay. Camera's okay. Yeah. It's all right. So they keep doing it, and then they brought the camera back on. So the camera is mounted on this frame that mounts around the drill pipe, and it's a frame. We actually hit a black smoker. We got a meter of black smoker
on the camera.
Of course, the scientists went crazy, right?
Yeah,
because
completely.
We never ever recovered anything like that.
I couldn't imagine, but we grabbed it. Yeah, you grabbed it with the camera. You grabbed a chunk of black smoker.
Everybody's like, "Oops." Knock over the chimney.
Yeah, I love when stuff like that would come back up. Like I remember one time I think Wayne called me and he was just like, Armstrong, like we got something on the camera, and it was just like all those like eggs. They were like weird some organism, and I was like, Wayne, honestly, we do not want to start this. This is like the start of like a sci-fi bad movie where we all end up on a ghost ship. Like, please get that out of there. But sometimes the camera would come back with some crazy stuff. Or like we'd have no idea.
Well, we now have a nesting bottle that we mount on the camera frame now. We can actually collect water from the
cool.
Right above the seafloor. So
that's
really
fantastic.
Nice.
That's actually a really nice add-on, Chieh. That's sweet.
Yeah.
And this might be a sad one to end it on, Chieh. I'm sorry. This is might be but the program, unfortunately, and I was really heartbroken when I heard this, and we talked about this a little bit before we started this interview, is that the program has come to an end. Could you maybe speak to the last year of the program? Because I think it's ending in 2024. Do you know what wrap up looks like yet? And kind of what do you think is going to be the next steps for the core repositories and kind of for the program?
So right now the program ends at the end of September 2024.
Oh my goodness.
So the last exhibition will be 403, which will end August 2nd, I think, 2024 in Amsterdam. That's where we're going to do the demobilization. So we have to basically
Wow.
take everything off
Yeah.
and turn it. Ship belongs to Sim, right? So
Yeah.
it's the shipping company. So we got to give the ship back to them because the contract ends. So we're going to spend about 2 months in Amsterdam to take everything
Take it
off.
apart.
But
Yeah.
no, just our stuff. The ship
Okay.
need to go back to them. We
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
do anything about the ship itself, and that's up to Sim what they want to do.
Yeah.
As for what to take off is in negotiation right now.
Yeah, I could
So,
imagine. Okay. Yeah.
A&M would like to set up a lab back here. Of
Mm,
course, the core is going to stay in the repository for a long time.
good.
As for who's going to fund them, NSF gave us 5 years to phase out.
Okay.
So slowly, people, when the ship returned by the seam, everybody who worked on the ship, like sea flights folks, will be, unless they're willing to come back here. But I don't know what kind of job available
Yeah.
will
Or
be
what
available here,
can work. Yeah.
right? So they're probably the first group to go.
Ugh.
And then here we have IT, we have publication, we curation, we also have the engineer. Well, I assume the engineer would probably be leaving, but the curation and the every
Publication.
expedition
Yeah.
has about one year moratorium. So
Mm-hmm.
4-3 being ending in August 2024 will be
2025.
2025
Yeah.
1 year automatically. So that will continue. Scientists will continue to get samples and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the cores will go to Bremen because it's in the Atlantic Ocean. So I don't know, Bremen and Kochi, I don't know what their funding situation is like. But for here, like I say, NSF will, at least for 5 years, will maintain the cores.
Okay. And then who knows what's
if
going to
A&M
happen. Yeah.
If A&M can get funding to set up some kind of lab back here, we'll send some equipment back.
That'd be wonderful.
And that be obviously will need technical support to some degree. That's what they see what's happening. But there's so many not official proposal, but so many talk and discussion going on right now. And I also heard a lot of scientists in the scientific community, if people need a lab tech, if one of our tech are willing to go, I'm pretty sure they'd be happy to take them.
100%, because we're very well trained for marine motion. So I hope some people go to maybe the national programs, right? Like to NOAA or to maybe some of the other.
I don't know. I mean, is all run by individual universities, so I don't know what opportunity there are. I myself am going to retire.
Yeah,
I was going to travel around next year. Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, you're on your bike.
Yeah. Yes. Unfortunately. So, but, we knew this program, if you remember, you have a letter every year for your employment, and it's all soft money. So it is. Yeah. But you think of it, like what they're saying, if you are any scientific project and get, I don't know how many $1 million in 1 year, it's a pretty good deal still. We still got 5 more full expeditions to support.
That's fantastic. At least you still have a couple expeditions going through, and then a 5-year plan of core repository of taking care of it. Yeah. But even yes, it's a soft money project, but I never expected the IODP to go down. Like for me, the IODP is like the NASA of the oceans. And I think for most of the scientific community, that's kind of an establishment that it's such a big deal. And we've gone from the 60s, and every single type of government, like from Republican to Democrat, back to Republican to Democrat. And we've survived all of those big changes in government and also in world economics, and have still stayed through. I just thought that the program was going to last forever.
Yeah, it's
I really
a shame,
did.
That drone got shut down over in Ukraine or Russia, whatever. Yeah. And that drone itself can support the program for 2 years probably.
Yeah, that's true. When it looks at total spend, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
I'm sorry. It's a bummer way to end it, but I did want to do want to talk about it, because the program, unfortunately, it's just terrible news that it's ending, but it's such an amazing program. And it breaks my heart that it's ending. So maybe one last question. I could bring it back a little bit, make it maybe not as sad that it's going to end. Is Chieh, if you could maybe give any advice to a young person listening to this or watching this who's either in oceanography or becoming a marine tech, what would be your advice to them, who's someone who's just starting?
Well, I mean, overall, I think you just need to try things out if you would. If you
Yeah.
think you want to get a job as a marine tech, unfortunately, I can't offer you our job anymore.
Yeah.
We are
Yeah.
hiring temp techs. We're anticipating some, people probably going to start be leaving.
That's
I
true.
mean, I don't
Yeah.
blame them. They
No.
have to look out for themselves. So we probably going to have some temp tech selling the future next year. But I'm pretty sure there's always a similar opportunity out there. I know China just built a new ship.
Yeah.
European. It just really follow your heart, and you have to, like I told you, my personal experience. Every job you get, you're gonna have a burnout. You're gonna say, "Oh, I hate this. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't." You have to kind of take a step back and think about what do you want? Do you, like I was saying, I always come back to our job advertisement.
Yeah,
And
you're like,
if
this is
that's
what I want.
this
Yeah.
is what I want, and
Yeah.
if that's what you want, you kind of need to change your own mentality and say, okay, this is what I want. This is what I'm going to do. And then every job, there's aspect of things that you're going to like.
Yeah.
If you just matter of finding it, how do you find it? But also there's no harm just to go out, try different things.
Agreed. Yeah. And try
Right?
it out, see
So
if you like it. If you don't, try
yeah,
something different. And like,
yeah,
I think it's a really good mentality of just like follow what feels right. And then
yeah,
if it does feel right, and if you're like, yeah, this is the lifestyle I want, recognize that it might come with some periods that you're like, yeah, this sucks.
yeah.
I've stared at the same 20 faces for 2 weeks. Like
Yeah.
it's just a part
Well,
of
I
the
mean,
job. Yeah.
also there's no harm. You say, this I'm miserable. This is miserable. I really don't want to do this. Then that's fine.
Yeah.
I think the worst is people get stuck in that and just can't get themselves out of it. So you either change your own mentality, or if you cannot, get out.
That's
Do something
okay. Yeah.
else.
Try something
Yeah,
different.
it's okay
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's okay to
And
restart. You don't have to feel
yeah,
stuck in it, or like
yeah,
that you're supposed to do something that you dislike.
yeah.
I think it's good
So
advice, Chieh. I like it.
yeah,
I think that's a good way to end it because I
well,
think
that's
that's
for me. It
fantastic
works for
advice.
me.
Thank you, Chieh, so much. It was absolutely lovely to have you on the show. Thank you, thank you, thank
Yeah,
you.
we should
I
do our
appreciate it
Zoom thing
immensely.
again.
I would love that. I think that would be fantastic. But thank you, Chieh. This has been Smoko. Thank you guys for listening so much. And thank you, Chieh, for coming on to the show.